If you have been feeling stuck on your fertility journey, if you feel like no matter what you do, nothing changes, then this episode is for you. Feeling stuck doesn't mean that you're failing. It doesn't mean that your body isn't working, and it definitely doesn't mean that you'll never have your baby. More often than not, it's a sign that you're overwhelmed, exhausted, and carrying way too much on your own. So today, I'm going to walk you through what feeling stuck actually means, both physically, emotionally, and energetically, and how this moment can actually become the beginning of everything changing.
Welcome to your journey to fertility. This is the podcast that blends science with spirit to give you all the tools you need as you navigate your fertility journey. I'm your host, Jennifer Edmonds, and for the last 15 years, I've been helping women on their journeys to motherhood and beyond. I believe that combining the latest scientific research along with the best energetic and mindset practices will help you to avoid putting your life on hold and bring you closer to your baby. Each week, you'll learn ways to support your fertility and trust your body so that you can stop stressing that you'll never have your baby and finally walk your path to motherhood. This is the Your Journey to Fertility podcast.
Hello and welcome back to the podcast. Thank you so much for being here with me today and sharing your time and your energy. And this is something I'm sure that we can all relate to, this feeling of just being stuck. Like no matter what you do, nothing seems to be working and you are not making any progress at all. I recently had a bit of a moment in my life where everything came to this massive point of overwhelm. My husband has been out of work for almost a year. I was working a lot of hours to try and compensate for this. And, I was staying up late working, and that always leads to not a lot of sleep, and nothing good comes from that. And on top of that, I was having some health issues. An old hip injury was flaring up. I ended up with aches and pains and joint pain all throughout my body. It was a whole drama. It was a whole week of it was like everything piling up, and it was too much. And I got stuck in this place of things are never going to get better. And we're going to have to make some really tough decisions soon. And nothing good is going to come from this. And I was immediately transported back to all of the years of trying to conceive and being in the middle of an IVF cycle where it felt like no matter what I did, nothing seemed to get better. And it just seemed like no matter, what I did and how hard I tried and how much I worked at things, I just got nowhere. It always amazes me that years later, I can be thrown straight back into that place and struggling with infertility like so quickly. All of those emotions come back, that overwhelming anxiety. And it just reminded me that even after years of IVF cycles and treatment cycles that weren't successful and, pregnancy loss, there is a way to move forward. Despite what happens in your life, there is a way that we can start to unravel some of these things. And today I want to help you do that by explaining what the very first step should be if you are feeling like you are stuck in this place. But before we get into it, I just want to remind you that it is 1 week to go today that we start Embrace the Journey. We are launching my free 3-day live fertility yoga series on Tuesday of next week. So if you are listening to this in real time, you have plenty of days left to register. So if you haven't already reserved your spot, please do so now. The link is down in the show notes. It is a way for us to spend 3 incredible days to immerse yourself in the practices that I speak so much about on this podcast. I'm going to take you through different fertility yoga practices, guided meditations, breathwork practices that you can do. And they're not only going to help you feel more calm and regulated and capable on this journey, but there are ways for you to know that you're actually doing something to help support your fertility at the same time. And everything that we do, we're going to record all of these practices. You will receive all of the replays. So they are things that you can then put into your toolbox and take out again when you need them on this journey. I have women joining me from literally all over the world for this series. We have about 75 minutes to go through each of those 3 days. And you can ask me all of your questions. I will take you through the science of how it all works, along with some very beautifully woo-woo things as well that we love to throw in there. And combination, as you well know, is what I'm so passionate about. And I can't wait to have you there. So if you haven't already reserved your spot, you can do so now if you visit elementpilatesyoga.com/waitlist. You'll also receive 2 special bonus free gifts from me when you sign up. So those are things that you can have to keep throughout the series and beyond. So excited. I absolutely love running this series and I cannot wait to see you there. Okay. So we're going to get back into the episode, and I want to start with the truth about feeling stuck. Can we just point out how incredibly normal this is? This happens to everyone, and especially when you've lived your life with this understanding that if I work hard, I will achieve what I want. And all of a sudden you get thrown into the trenches of fertility struggles and you realize that no longer works. 1 + 1 no longer equals 2. It is not something to beat yourself up about. When you went through your whole life being told that you would get pregnant the moment that you wanted to, and even after trying everything, when things still aren't working, it is so normal for us then to get angry and frustrated, and we then blame ourselves. Feeling stuck is not a sign of failure. It is a sign of overwhelm, exhaustion, and complete emotional overload. All of these things are incredibly draining. Last week on the podcast, I spoke about the connection between stress and fertility and how that really works and how your body is not working against you when we're feeling stress. It is a way for your body to protect you. And I always found that a really comforting reframe. Even now, when I was just saying, when I am in these places of oh my God, how am I going to get out of this? Knowing that all of those feelings and being completely dysregulated, it is your body's way of trying to keep you safe. You are not broken. And I suspect that some days you are just so tired of all of this. It is exhausting. I think that society teaches us that progress needs to be linear. And as I mentioned, like at school or within work, we have assignments and projects and timelines. It's like, okay, well, we do this and then we achieve that and then we do the next thing. And, it's like this very neat set of steps for the most part, obviously, not always, but that is not how things work when you are struggling through fertility. Progress is often invisible and it's internal. And I find that changes are unrecognizable for a long time before you actually start to notice them or to, notice these measurable differences. It's not like that staircase. Your journey is more like, a wave that goes up and down. And sometimes it's, everything, the waters are very still. And oftentimes there's storms and crashing and lots of ocean analogies, all the things there. Again, it is exhausting. But honestly, if I think back to all of my lowest points on my fertility journey and throughout my life as well, all of those moments where I felt like I was at a complete dead end, that I didn't know how I would get out of it or how I'd even get up the next day, let alone get my life back into something that I enjoyed again. I look back now and I realize that each of the times that these things happen, I was on the edge of the next thing that I needed in order for my life to be fully realized again, and for me to move forward and for changes and expansion to happen. So what is the very first step to take when you have no idea what to do next? The answer is your health. And it sounds really boring and really simple when you think about it. But when you are so overwhelmed and you have no idea where to even begin, you don't need a perfect plan. You just need a starting point. You need literally that first step. And it's something that you can influence immediately. So what do I mean by this? There is so much that you cannot control on this journey. We can't always control how we're going to respond to a certain treatment, how our body is going to respond to that next treatment cycle. We can't change or control how our friends are going to react when we say we don't want to go to a certain event or we need some time to ourselves or some time alone, or the million other things that are completely out of control at this time. But the one thing that you can focus on and give your daily attention to is your health, your physical and your mental health. I used to think that if I could just get my cycle perfect, if I could find that elusive, perfect combination of supplements and eat perfectly, then I will get pregnant. But if perfection worked, it would have worked. And it absolutely didn't work for me. And I can tell you, I was 10 out of 10, like 100% on all of those tests when I was going through infertility. And I'm sure so many of us can relate to that. But perfection doesn't work because it creates pressure. Pressure then creates stress. And then stress dysregulates the body that you're trying to quote unquote fix, And instead of asking yourself, what more can I do in order to get pregnant? What I really want you to ask yourself today is, what is the one step that I can take, or the one thing that I can do today to feel good in my body right now? So I realize this sounds way too simple, but I want you to stay with me here and let me explain. Can you think of a time in your life where you felt your most physically strong or capable or healthy? If I think about it now, when I am feeling my most physically strong, when I've had weeks of eating well and regularly exercising, and I've been lucky I haven't been sick and I've been sleeping well, it makes every single part of my life feel easier. It means I have more energy. I sleep better. Things just sort of fall into place more easily. I feel like my relationships are better. My resilience to stress is a lot more controlled. It is the one thing that you can choose to focus on every single day, no matter what is happening in your life, even if you do have health problems. And before we go on, I want to be very, very clear. This episode is not about, eating perfectly or going to the gym every day or doing everything right and never allowing yourself to have that piece of cheesecake. If you are a new listener to the podcast, if you've just joined me for the first time today, that is not my vibe at all. I am not here to tell you how to live your life or how to be perfect, okay? What I do want you to do is get in tune with what makes your body feel good. There is a quote that I love that says, "You don't control anxiety with the mind, you calm anxiety with the body." And that's a really reversed way of thinking about it, I think. So much we think about the mind controlling the body, but it is much more powerful to come at it from the other perspective. Allow your body to then control what happens in your mind. So it's your mind is going to follow how your body feels. So what does stuck actually mean physically? I mean, it's such a kind of a loose word, isn't it? It doesn't, feeling stuck. I mean, what does that actually mean? We're not in quicksand here. So when your nervous system is in overdrive, when you've been in that state of fight or flight or freeze or shut down where you're either go, and your fight or flight is very much like, let's control the situation, or let's like do everything that we can to avoid having to really feel all of the difficult things. Whereas freeze is a little bit more like, well, I want to do something, but I can't. I feel like I really need to get this done today, but whatever it is, I don't have the energy, or I can't bring myself to do it. And then shut down is that dorsal state of your nervous system where your brain basically goes, this is all too much. This is too overwhelming. I'm just going to shut everything down. So I'm going to numb you from that pain. That's where a lot of dissociation, apathy, hopelessness tends to live. So all of these states, as I explain so often, this is not a failure or anything that you have done. It is your body trying to protect you. It thinks that it is doing a wonderful job because it has so far kept you alive. But when you create safety, and I know this word sounds a little bit silly because obviously we're safe. You're sat here listening to a podcast or going for a walk, whatever. Sure, you're safe, but your brain doesn't understand that when you are in those times of acute hypervigilance and, you're remembering things that you've been through and all of the difficult experiences that infertility has taken you through, your body literally doesn't feel safe. So we need to find these continuous practices that nourish the body. And that's where your hormones can start to resynchronize. Your blood flow improves, digestion starts to flow and shift a little bit more easily. Your sleep is a little bit better and things begin to feel like they're moving again. We get out of this feeling of stuck and we get into this feeling of flowing through life. On top of this, that sort of physical feeling of stuck, I think that we often feel very emotionally and energetically stuck here as well. So we're carrying all of these huge emotions like grief and shame and constant disappointment. Like these are really complex and things we were never taught to deal with. The pressure to be constantly positive, to keep having to pick yourself up and go again. And we're constantly comparing ourselves to others, and this idea of perfectionism and doing everything properly. And you've got every other expert on social media telling you what supplement to take and what to eat, and your egg quality needs this. And it's just exhausting. Like I'm dysregulated just thinking about it right now. And I get it. Like feeling all of these emotions is really hard. To actually stop and go, I'm experiencing some of the hardest things that I've ever been through. No one wants to sit with that. But when we push them away, when the emotions are not allowed to be processed, they don't go away. They come back, and they come back stronger and stronger until you take notice. So how do we move through this stuck phase? And what does that one next step actually look like? So we can't always control what's going to happen tomorrow or next week or next treatment cycle, but you can absolutely control today. You can control right now. You can decide what you have for breakfast. You can decide to go for a walk outside instead of scrolling this afternoon. The first step forward is not about being perfect. It is about feeling good and making that decision in the moment to do something for your physical health. That is all you need to focus on. So I want you to ask yourself, what is one small thing that my body would love today? And the answer doesn't always need to be, the green smoothie or the salad. Maybe it is the cheesecake. It's like, if that is going to make you feel good in your body, like 10 cheesecakes, probably less so. But what is good for your soul and what is good for your body today? More realistic things that I probably want to steer you towards are things like gentle movement, which I'm going to come back to in a moment because this is so, so powerful. Getting outside. Studies show us, I love this, I find it really fascinating, that spending time outdoors does more for your health than we realize. And, there were all these studies during COVID that found that people with high vitamin D levels were getting better quicker than those who had lower vitamin D levels. And so doctors, in these studies would just give patients vitamin D. But the ones that were in hospital and weren't getting outdoors, even if their vitamin D levels were high, they still weren't getting better. There is something about the sun that has a much bigger impact on your body than just increasing your vitamin D. So getting outside and allowing the sun on your face and just receiving that warmth. And I know that's not always possible depending on where you live in the world and what time of the year it is, but fresh air, noticing nature around you, these things are so incredibly calming and regulating for your nervous system. We were never designed to spend 90% or more of our lives indoors, which is what we all do. Deep breaths. Oh my goodness. Breath is your lifeline in times of overwhelm and feeling stuck. And in so many situations, if you are new to the podcast, know that this is one of the most powerful tools that you have available to you at any moment. And I speak about breath and breath work quite a lot. It is a huge component of my work and all of the courses and programs that I offer. Even simple things like stretching and warm, nourishing foods and rest. Rest is so productive. And I'm not talking about lying in your bed and just scrolling your phone all day or mindlessly watching a movie, but like actual productive rest, like taking time to do things that you love, creative things, spending time with your partner and finding deep human connection as well. It is so productive to stop and do things that really, really feel good for your soul. Feeling good creates safety, and safety is this foundation of everything when it comes to regulating your nervous system and your overall health. I want to speak about movement and exercise for a moment because it is widely known that exercise is good for you, of course, but I want to explain why gentle movement like yoga is so profound when you are struggling with fertility. I see this over and over again in the women that I work with. They're looking for something, and maybe they've dabbled with a bit of yoga in the past, and they think, maybe it's something, I feel like the woo-woo part of it is kind of speaking to me as well. And I see so much change in people so often. There are 3 ways that I believe a yoga, meditation, and breathwork practice has such a profound impact on your overall health and your fertility. The first is that yoga increases circulation and blood flow to your body. And as we know, blood is your body's delivery system for nutrients and for hormones. So without adequate blood flow, your body can't create that flow of where the hormones need to go. You can't get that brain to body connection going as much as it needs to on a physiological level. So we have that. We know that circulation, acupuncture is so good for fertility. We hear this time and time again. So we have that. The second is these practices have such an ability to regulate your nervous system in so many different ways. And if you didn't listen to last week's episode about stress and cortisol production and how that impacts your body, your overall health, and your fertility, please go back and listen to that, because that was extremely worth knowing. It's really, really important to kind of learn that on a very sciencey level. But the third thing, and this is my favorite part, and I think that there are lots of things that can do the first 2, but this third thing is where the magic happens and where it really ties everything in together. These practices have an ability to reconnect you to your body and show you what you are capable of. And I'm not talking about, oh, wow, look, I can do this amazing handstand in my yoga practice. And if you're new to the practices of fertility yoga and the stuff that I teach, there's none of that in fertility yoga. And there's nothing wrong with that. If you want to go and do the amazing Ashtanga practices and practice these crazy poses, great, go for it. And it's an amazing achievement to be able to do those physical things within your body. But that's not exactly what I'm talking about. The real magic is in these moments that you don't see coming. It's when you realize that I can do more than I thought. Maybe your strength and your resilience starts to surprise you. I'm less triggered, something, and it doesn't happen in the moment. It's not like you're doing a yoga practice and you're like, oh, I feel less triggered today. It's like a quiet knowing, and it'll sneak up on you. Maybe a week later, something will happen. You'll have another pregnancy announcement given to you, or, out of nowhere. And you're like, sure, I'm bothered by this, but I'm no longer spiraling as much as I used to. I noticed that we see things start to change within our bodies as well, like your cycle starts to improve. You notice that there's more regularity, more predictability within your cycle. Things feel a little bit easier. There's less PMS. You notice that you're falling asleep. You notice that maybe you're a little bit less irritable. You're a bit nicer to your partner. It's such a big one for me. My husband was like, I feel like you're a lot more calm lately. That was such a huge thing for me after I found my yoga practice throughout IVF. And I think that when you are able to notice these changes for yourself, that is where things change, because you can see and you can feel these tangible results from a simple practice. And it was something that I stumbled on by chance. And I really, really want you to be able to experience them for yourself. So as we finish up today, I want to remind you that moving forward doesn't mean going fast. Okay, this is a process. Being stuck, the goal isn't major progress and I'm going to fix everything tomorrow. It's these small things and these little shifts that really move the needle. So ask yourself today, what is one thing that my body would love today? And where can I choose feeling good over being perfect? What is that one step that I can take today that's going to make my life feel easier and to improve my overall health and well-being? And remember, you don't have to do this alone. This is a lot. This journey is a lot. If any of this is speaking to you, honestly, please come and join me next week inside my free live series. By registering for this event, you also automatically go on the wait list for my In Your Element fertility yoga program. And this is the ultimate mind-body fertility program where you get to have someone guiding you through this and whole process. You don't have to guess, and it's whether you are just starting out on this journey or you've been trying to conceive at home for a while or you're going through treatments or you've had multiple rounds of IVF. It is the most comprehensive program available, and I have taken hundreds of women through this program now who are trying to conceive. And just this year, I have had some students come back to me who are now having their third babies through this program. It just blows my mind that that is where we're at. I get so excited just talking about it. So if you have any questions, please reach out to me and let me know in the lead up. Later this week, we have a bonus episode dropping where we're going to continue our infertility stories conversation. So don't miss that. And next week, we have a big episode coming your way. And this is one I've been thinking about for a long time and been putting together for a while. It is about the moment your fertility journey begins to change and everything that you need to do in order to get to that point. So until then, I am sending you all of my love and wishes as you continue your own journey to fertility.